what did they care? They're a Ferrari dealer. So with the meteoric rise in the value of Porsches and Ferraris from 2011 onward, I hear almost every day about some regret that somebody has. Oh, I shouldn't have sold this. I could have tripled my money, this and that. I hear it all the time. And of course, being in the car business over that period of time, I've had plenty of those cars that have skyrocketed in value right after I sold them. But one in particular, I happened to accidentally ride the wave up. Ended up just about doubling my money on, but it wasn't quite as easy or as glamorous as most people would make it out to be. It was actually quite a nightmare, and it started out as a terrible purchase. So back in 2010, I bought a carbed Ferrari 512 Berlinetta Boxer, which was the second most desirable Berlinetta Boxer behind the 365. I bought it for 80 or 85 grand. You know, back then, that was the right price. Nobody cared about those cars. And I bought it wholesale from another Ferrari dealer along with a Challenge Stradale. It was purported to have about 13,000 original kilometers, but with those cars, it's very hard to tell unless you have all the documentation. So I asked the sales manager two very specific questions to help me determine what I would need to do to the car. And I said, number one, is there any rust? Because those cars did rust, especially the chassis and suspension components and stuff like that. Number two, does it smoke? Because if it smokes, needs valve guides, need to tear the engine down, it's a big job on that car. I got very emphatic no's on both accounts. So I shipped it to my local Italian savant, and he called me and he goes, well, I started up and there was enough smoke to clear out a barn full of mosquitoes. So I'm just going, crap. Also, there was, corrosion on the suspension parts and stuff like that. I mean, the two things I asked about, no. So I called the Ferrari dealer and chewed him out, and we had this big conference call with the tech that did the inspection, the sales manager, and the general manager. And while the sales manager said that he would stand behind this, the general manager basically just said, no, we don't care. I even found out that the tech named Enzo had discovered these issues in the inspection, but they had purposefully withheld them from me. So really nothing I can do except just say, well, I'm never going to buy cars from you again. And what did they care? They're a Ferrari dealer. They don't need a wholesaler. I proceeded to tell my tech to just tear the engine down. Do what needs to be done. Let's get this car made mechanically right and put it up for sale. So he took his sweet time because he doesn't like large projects, and every 6 months or so I'd check in on the car and it was still on jack stands in the same place, accumulating more and more dust. And after about 3 years, I kind of said, okay, let's get going on this. I'm sick of tying up my money. So he actually started rebuilding the motor, and about that time the values on these started to climb slightly. So I'm thinking, great, I might not be upside down on this car anymore. I might not be 130 grand into a $110,000 car. As the values crept up, I started to get interest in the car. People seeking them out for their clients, and I almost made a couple deals along the way, kind of pursuant to the engine being done, but nobody really wanted to leave me a deposit and take the risk on that. It was actually good because the first deal I almost made was at $125,000, and I think I ended up making a deal for around $180,000, and the guy gave me half down, and it was to be completed within, I think, 90 days. And we actually were seeing the engine getting almost done, so that was realistic expectation of happening. In that time frame, the values went up probably another $50,000 or $75,000. It became a $250,000 car, and not too long after I sold it, they peaked at probably about $400,000. So even though I doubled my money, I left a lot of money on the table. But the interesting thing about that is, when the car got done, the tech called me and said, okay, you're done, your bill's 30 grand, come and get it. So I called the buyer and said, okay, it's done, wire me money, no problem. This was a Tuesday. Wednesday, did not get the wire. Thursday, did not get the wire, started to get excuses. They left a digit off, it got returned. Oh yeah, I'm at the bank now. I mean, multiple different times he confirmed, yes, I have sent the wire, and just never came. I'm like, a wire's a wire. If it's not here in an hour, then you didn't send it. Friday rolls around, yep, I'll go to the bank. I'm like, I thought you were at the bank yesterday. Oh no, just excuses, typical car dealer stuff. He also promised that he was buying this for his personal collection, which, oldest line in the book for flippers. I am a flipper, but I swear I've never actually used that line. If I'm buying it to sell, I'm buying it to sell. And if I'm buying it for me, I'm buying it to keep. Yeah, I'm buying it for my personal collection. It'll never be sold, all this stuff. So I said, listen, if the wire's not in my account Friday by 5 p.m., the deal's off. I'm just gonna send you your deposit back. Now there's a broker involved in this, which was my first mistake, letting a broker get involved. He was just pleading this guy's case. Come on, just give him a chance. He's a good guy. He'll send you the money. I want to get the deal done. I need my commission, all this stuff. And me being the kind-hearted guy I am, which is why I'm not rich yet in the car business, said, all right, fine, whatever. And I was out racing lemons that weekend anyway, so I didn't really have time to deal with it. I had some other guys interested, but I wasn't gonna hammer the phones and try to get a deal done and sell this guy out. So I just said, whatever, I'll deal with it when I get back on Monday. He told me on Saturday he was at the bank sending a wire transfer, which you can't do, but he assured me it would be in my account at 9 o'clock Monday morning. And of course it wasn't, but it actually did show up Monday afternoon into my account, which I was kind of disappointed about, because if it didn't, I really would have had reason to just kill the deal and sell it to somebody else for another $75,000. I'm still a little salty about that. So the wire finally shows up, and he sends a truck to get the car and all that. And not a month later, I got offered the car back by some other broker. And I think what he was doing was trying to pre-sell the car. He wasn't actually keeping it for his private collection. I don't think he even has a private collection. So he lined somebody up, and he was trying to hustle them for payment so he could get me payment and not lose the deal. The ironic thing in all this was that he shorted this broker $10,000, his commission. So this broker who fought for him, who pled his case, who defended his character, he completely cut out of the deal and never paid him, made all sorts of excuses. I know the guy made at least $70,000 or $80,000 on the car on a quick flip, because that was the market at the time. I had already contracted to sell it to him for $180, so I honored that. But I could have sold it for $250 to somebody else, so I know he got that. And so he pocketed $70,000 and shorted the guy $10,000 who made the deal happen for him. And that's just life in the car business sometimes.